I'm about to break down the best defenses in all of Madden 26. I'm going to show you exactly how to run these defenses and some of the best adjustments that I like to use, how to use them, how to counter the different pass protections, how to do basically everything you need to do to get better on defense in Madden 26. And if you enjoy this breakdown, what I want to let you know about is our school community. It's only $10. It gets you access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football. So if you enjoy this video, I think you're going to really like our school membership. It's going to help you get better at both games. And if you want to sign up, that link is going to be in the description below. The nickel 335 odd defense in the Minnesota defensive playbook is by far and away one of the better defenses in all of Madden 26. And I'm going to break down exactly how you want to be running this defense. Starting in your coach adjustments, what you want to do is you want to run this defense with auto flip defensive play call off, defensive motion response disabled, option read key on conservative, option pitch key on aggressive, RPO read key on conservative, RPO pass key on conservative, and then here at the bottom, you want to put your safety depths on close and your safety width on pinch. Now from there, you want to actually use a specific package in the nickel 3-3 odd defense to get the best adjustments possible. That package that you want to be utilizing is going to be the defensive in swap package. Now what you're going to need to do is once you set this package, you are going to want to go ahead and sub in your players wherever you want them to be on your screen. My main recommendation for this is you want to put your fastest defensive linebacker or defensive end on this outside linebacker position. And then from there, it's pretty much just put fast players in, put your best players where you want them. I'd put your best like shedder, the guy that can block shed the best, probably at the defensive tackle position. Once you've made those substitutions, now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pick the plays that you want to use. Now, basically for this defense, I think to be the most effective it can possibly be, what I like to suggest is to go ahead and take your shell feature here and turn this to a cover two shell. That way it's going to look exactly the same every single time you come out. You're not going to have to really deal with any types of variations in terms of the coverage. And one of the biggest tips for defense this year is you really don't want to be audibling at the line of scrimmage if you can help it. You want to come out in the play and basically make your adjustments from there. That being said, I'm going to be showing you two different defenses within this, maybe even a third if we have a little bit extra time. And we're going to go ahead and walk through kind of the core tenets of this defense. If you literally don't learn anything other than the core things that I'm about to show you, your 3-3 odd is going to be really, really good. So what we're going to first start out with is kind of our base blitz. And this is best for going up against a formation such as a bunch X nasty or a Y off trio close, any kind of formation where there's three wide receivers on one side and a running back on the other side, this blitz is going to apply to. So the play that we're going to be using for this is the Hot Blitz 3. One of the reasons that I like the Hot Blitz 3 is because it has a blitzing linebacker and slot corner. It is going to allow for a little bit of a symmetry in terms of how your play is going to align. So I love to base out of the Hot Blitz 3. Now, what you're going to do here as far as a setup goes is all you need to do, and I forgot the Bunch X Nasty sometimes does mess up a little bit. So what I like to actually do is actually not utilize a shell. So as you can see here, I have everything on default. I do believe that's the best way to run this defense in general. I'll show you a use case for the shell later on, but for now, let's go ahead and just leave the shell on default. So what we're going to be doing is coming out into play Hot Blitz 3, and we're just going to come out in it as is. And the main adjustment that we want to make to this defense is we're just going to show blitz our linebackers, and that is pretty much going to set up the blitz itself. Now, as far as how we want to use her on this play, what I like to do is go ahead and take this linebacker on the right-hand side here, put him in whatever coverage assignment you want, and you can basically play defense like this. One of my favorite things to do is scissor the left side to prevent any kind of quick throws. So we might do something like this right here, or just a basic cover two. I love to run a basic cover two as well. But essentially what you're going to see here is you're going to see us be able to get good quality pressure off of that side. Now, if for whatever reason the pressure doesn't come in immediately, the other thing that you can do here is go ahead and QB contain. This QB contain will also help with the rollouts, and what you'll see is it will make that slot corner pressure just a little bit better. Another big tip that I have for you, especially if you're playing a formation such as like Y off trio close or anything like this. One of the things that you can do that I think is very, very helpful would be to go ahead and take this slot corner and actually just walk him off the edge like this. It's going to make the blitz come in a little bit faster, and you're still going to be able to get good coverage on the play. As you can see, we're pretty much set up, and you see how much faster that blitz comes in that situation. So that's how I like to run the hot blitz. One of the major things that can occur when running this defense is basically that they can slide protect to the side of the pressure. So what that would basically look like here is if we set this blitz up like this, they might do a slide protection where they're going to say, I'm going to slide to the left, and then that way it's going to make it so that, I might be able to pick up that pressure. I'll give you a little bit better of an example here. But essentially, if they were to do something like that, then what you're going to want to do is send the alternate blitz, which I'm going to show in just 1 minute. But as you can see here, if they set up a slide pro, sometimes this can pick it up. It doesn't always pick it up, and honestly, most of the times it's not going to. But just wanted you to be aware that they can slide protect, and it can certainly change things a little bit in terms of the linebacker blitzing aspect. Now, what we're going to be able to do is in our next variation of this pressure, I'm going to show you, kind of one of my favorite pressures for two different types of situations. Number one, it's really good for like a flipped bunch. And number two, it's really good if they, for whatever reason, start to block your blitz. So this is where I like to go to the play hot blitz bail. And the big key when running hot blitz bail is to use some type of shell, whether it's a cover 4, cover 2, cover 6 shell. You want to be using some type of shell. And the main thing that you need to do when you do this is you need to reset your play. And when you do that, you want to go ahead and show blitz. So you see, this is what the defense looks like. And all it does is it just brings the safety into a little bit better of alignment here. And then you have this A-gap blitz angle now on your user. So the reason that this A-gap blitz angle is effective, especially if it was on my user, is because let's say they give us a look like this, where we kind of need more coverage to the left-hand side. Well, we can send this blitz right here. And what's nice about this blitz is if they untarget your user, he'll actually go directly in for pressure. So what you want to do is you just want to create a kind of similar coverage to what we just showed you here. And now you see I have this one hook curl that's going to kind of float over the middle of the field. So what I want to do is instead of trying to rush in with my user, I'm going to let the game basically run my user down, and I'm going to hit left on the D-pad at the snap of the ball. And what that's going to do is it's going to switch stick me onto either the flat defender or the hook curl that is over the middle of the field. It's one of the best strategies, in my opinion, for getting consistent pressure. So again, you're just going to reset your play. That's going to get that guy to go over there, and then you're going to basically go ahead and set up your coverage. Now, I want to show the same exact principle against a formation that you might not, that's not bunch X nasty. So something like a Y off trio close. And we'll go over, basically the same thing. And as you see, when it's not bunch X nasty, it's going to line up a little bit better for you. So again, it's kind of an alignment bug for bunch X nasty. But anywho, if I want to send pressure like this, right, this pressure can still come in. And again, if they untarget my user, which I forgot to show that, if they untarget my user here, then what's going to happen is the user is just going to basically come right in the middle, and he's going to get pressure up the A gap. So in my opinion, those are two of the better blitzing concepts that you can actually utilize from the 3-3 odd formation. Now, another thing that you can do, let me actually change the package, see if that messes anything up here. Another thing that you can do from that cover 2 shell is you can utilize the LB cross 3 show 2. And what you're going to see here is kind of that same idea, right? Reset your play. Go ahead and show blitz your linebackers, and you see it kind of gives us the proper alignment. Now, what we're able to do from this is really, really good, especially if they start to do different types of pass protection. I primarily just simply use this as a mix-up blitz. But what I like to do is I'm going to stand a little bit more in between the guard and the tackle, and I'm just going to simply send 4. And what you're going to see here, a lot of the times that happens is this guy can actually loop or cross through on that pressure. And that's just a simple mix-in blitz that we'll go to every now and then. It's not a crazy popular play call for me, but it is something we do want to at least be aware of that we have in this formation. I also like to slant my D-line like that, so you get a little bit more of a crossfire animation. But in general, that's one way to run it. Another way to run this blitz is to go ahead and show blitz. And then basically what you do is you're going to show blitz your whole team, and then you're going to reset your linebackers on the D-pad there. And this will kind of create more of a traditional loop blitz, as you can see. It's just sometimes you want to be able to change the pressure, and that is one of the ways in which we can do that. Now, another thing that we can do out of this nickel 3-3 odd defense is utilize a cover 4 or cover 9 type of defense. Basically, what this is going to mean here is we're going to show blitz. We're going to bring our user over in front of this guard. We're going to stand right here, and we're just going to hit the guard. And basically what that does is, as you see, it gets this defensive end to come in free. It's another way to kind of mix in, but in general, those are the best ways to run the 3-3 odd defense. The nickel 3-3 cub defense in the Minnesota Vikings defensive playbook is a really effective defense in Madden 26. I'm going to be breaking down kind of the best ways to utilize this defense, run this defense, and kind of show you like how the defense functions. Now, what you want to do with the nickel 3-3 cub in general is you actually want to have a specific set of coaching adjustments. So what we're going to do for coaching adjustments is you're going to have auto flip defensive play call on, you're going to have defensive motion response on default, option on conservative, option pitch key on aggressive, RPO read key on conservative, RPO pass key on conservative. And then at the bottom here, you can go ahead and put your safety depth on close and your safety width on pinch for this defense. Another big thing that you want to do in the 3-3 cub is there is a specific package that you want to use. If you do not utilize this package, it will change your adjustments and it will just make the defense significantly worse. So what I would recommend is that you take this package right here and you're going to use this OLB flip package. Now, when you do that, you're going to need to go ahead and sub in players exactly where you want them. The biggest key to this whole thing is make sure that you are subbing in your fastest blitzers on these outside linebacker positions. These are the guys that we need to be able to get pressure with. And then from there, you can kind of set up your lineup however you would like to, obviously prioritizing speed. So once your lineup is set up, what you want to do is in the 3-3 cub menu, my recommendation is to go ahead and take this shell feature and turn that to a cover 2 shell. That is going to make sure that every single defense is going to look identical whenever you're running this defense. And there's a couple of different defenses that you can use with this. I think in general, kind of the best defense that I would say you want to be in is either this Mike Blitz 0, the Cover 4 Show 2, or the Sam Will Blitz 3. Because I personally prefer to play more of a zone-based defense on the back end, I'm going to be showing these examples from the Sam Will Blitz 3, but they generally are going to cross-apply to both the Mike Blitz 0 and even the Cover 4 Show 2 if you want to blitz the linebackers on your own. Now, what makes the 3-3 cub defense, I think, super effective is there are some really cool ways to get the pressure to come in. Basically, what we're going to do, the first way that I personally like to run the defense is through this little setup right here. All we're going to do is we're going to blitz our user and we're going to stand. If you take a look at the pass protection here, notice that if I stand like more out here, it's not necessarily going to help me. I want to be kind of in between the tackle, or I want to be in between like the offensive guard and the offensive center on this side. What this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to trigger a pressure off of the left side. Now, I want to be very, very clear. In my personal opinion, from testing this defense, one of the easiest things they can do to block your blitz is to chip your blitzer. So what that basically means is that if the tight end goes on a route, the tight end has a chance to chip the linebacker on his side. So as my base blitz, what I like to do is I like to blitz off the non-tight end side. So for example, let's say that they went to this Y off trio close, right? Then I would still want to blitz off of this left side, even though the running back is on the other side. As you can see here, it still is set up well for me to get pressure. Now, at its core, what you want to do here when you blitz your user is you want to drop this linebacker into a vertical hook. I normally am going to shade that underneath and then create a coverage that looks something like this. The reason that this is going to be so good, and you can go ahead and feel free to contain as well, the reason this is gonna be so good is I'm gonna let the game kind of blitz my user, and then I'm gonna hit right on the D-pad, and it's gonna switch stick me onto the vert hook. So what you're going to see, I'm not touching any buttons. I'm going to let the game automatically blitz my user. And then when it does, I'm going to switch stick to this guy. And as you can see, we're able to get very, very quick pressure if they're sending 5 out into the pattern. The whole thing about defense in Madden 26 is that you want to be able to make your opponent have to get the ball out quickly when they send 5 out. Because it's such a bad blitzing game in general this year, most opponents are basically going to be sending 5 out consistently. And then if they ever do block a running back, no sweat off your back because you're only really sending 4 or 5 depending on how you're setting this up. Now, the next thing that I wanted to show you about this is one of the easiest and automatic steps that your opponent is going to take is they are going to untarget your user defender because obviously they're trying to essentially make you pay for hovering with your user over this position. Well, if they do that, the problem for them is because you're blitzing your user and because you are going to be switch sticking off of him, what essentially is going to happen is this blitzer can come basically right up the middle and he can get instant pressure on the quarterback, right? Another way that you could basically accomplish the same thing would be to get your line to slant out a little bit more or slant them to the right or whatever. So as you see, I'm getting a little bit more of an A-gap type blitz angle from my linebacker. I think ultimately, basically what you need to understand is that once they start to realize that because, they're untargeting you and they're getting, instantly pressured up the middle, they're probably going to stop that, right? They're probably going to stop untargeting your user. And so when they do stop untargeting your user, you can kind of go back to business as usual. Or if you're playing more of a beginner player, they're not going to know to untarget your user. And so because of that, that also bodes well for your pressure. So again, at its basic core here, we just want to simply stand in this gap and we want to get pressure off of this edge just like this. Now, one other big tip that I wanted to break down for you, and I will sneak this blitzing concept in if I'm running the 3-3 Cub defense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to QB contain. I'm going to still stand right here with my user. I'm going to put that linebacker in a vert hook, shade underneath, and then I'm going to set up my coverage. And basically what I'm going to do is if you take a look at this offensive line logic, they're still going to basically try to block my user. So when they try to block my user here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send 4. And as you can see, if they send 5 out, I can send 4 and basically get edge pressure, provided that they're not doing any type of pass protection to be able to make this defense worse. Therefore, what are they going to naturally do as a result? Because they can't really untarget your user, because if they do that, you have a chance to come right up the middle. Another thing that you can also get here, boys, is if let's say you're sending 4, let's say you're doing that send 4. Let me actually set the pass pro up. Let's say you're doing that send 4, right? And they do untarget your user. What you can easily do is just run in and get the sack. So if you see that, you can just run in and go get the sack yourself and basically user rush it. Those are a couple different ways to use this defense, but ultimately what happens is they're going to eventually begin to slide protect to the side that they are anticipating that you are blitzing them. So for example, they're going to half slide to the left because you're blitzing off of the left. And if you take a look here at the pass protection, you're going to notice that that is going to serve them well. But the other big thing here is you have the opportunity to send pressure off of the opposite side. But as you can see, if they half slide left, that's one of the best ways in which they can get pressure or they can block your blitz. So what I like to do in that situation is I like to go to a Texas style stunt. It looks a little wonky, but in general, this Texas stunt can go crazy against the slide protect. As you see, glitchy disengages and all kinds of stuff like that when they are slide protecting. Another way to take advantage of the slide protection, it kind of just depends a little bit on how they're truly going to block your blitz. As you can see here, it's like pretty good, right? What I would do is go ahead and spread the linebackers out. And then as you can see here, you see how your user's untargeted. That's where we go back to kind of that situation where if we're blitzing our user, then a lot of times what'll happen is even off a slide protect, this blitz will still come in, as you can see right there. So what they ultimately are kind of left to do is they're left to essentially full slide. So if they full slide their defense to the left, now as you can see, they're basically hot off the right side. So what I will do is every now and then I will do just a traditional send 5 with hard flats, get really aggressive here. And the reason for that is just because in the situation where they are doing a slide protect, you can have, this guy come in completely clean off of that left side. It's just a great kind of mix in blitz. I don't call that a ton, but I do call that as a mix in. And then the other thing that I think is really cool about this defense in particular is the fact that you can send three, just like this right here, just a basic send three. And this defensive tackle, a lot of times, it's just going to get a really nice shed animation directly up the middle. So you're able to get good pressure sending four, sending three, and sending five out of the 3-3 cup. The 4-3 even 6-1 defense has been traditionally one of those defenses that starts out the year okay, and as the year progresses, as you get faster linebackers, and really just as the game kind of evolves throughout the year, the defense always rises to the top throughout the year. It's a symmetrical defense. You're able to get good pressure off the left, good pressure off of the right. It's a phenomenal run defense, and there's so many things that we can do out of this defense. Now, again, this is going to be in a lot of playbooks this year, but a couple playbooks that I really like this in. I love that it's in the Minnesota Vikings playbook. The Patriots probably have the best 4-3 even 6-1, but it's also in a lot of other playbooks as well. I believe it's in the Jags playbook. I know it's in the Chiefs playbook. So this formation in general is in a lot of playbooks this year. And what you want to do for your coaching adjustments when you're running the 4-3 even 6-1, the biggest thing that you need to do is you need to turn auto flip off when running this defense. This defense is best ran completely flipped. The other coach adjustments that I like is I go ahead in this defense and I set my defensive motion response to disabled. I'm going to talk about why this is really effective in the actual breakdown here. I also set my option read key to conservative, my option pitch key to aggressive. My RPO and read and pass key are both going to be on conservative here. And then at the bottom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my safety depth on close and my safety width on pitch. Now, the way that I like to run the 4-3 even 6-1 is more of a zone-based defense. But one of the biggest things that you want to make sure is at the bottom, sometimes in some playbooks, it just kind of depends, it has this package set to heavy. You just want to simply make sure that this is on the default package. That is really important for this defense. And then as far as like where do you want to put your best players, the most important thing that you can do is put your fastest pass rushers on in that outside linebacker position. That is super important to get these blitzes to be able to come in consistently. That is something that I think is super important in the 4-3 even 6-1. And then from there, you can kind of just simply put your different players wherever you want them to be. Put your best pass rushers, in my opinion, put them on the defensive end position, and then put fast defensive tackles, as we're going to be able to do a lot of different things with them in the defense. Now, as far as play call and shell, I'm pretty much going to do everything out of the cover 4 quarters. If you want to run more of a cover 0 base, what I would just tell you is go ahead and turn that defensive motion response to default. But in general, I think cover 4 quarters is kind of the best way to use this, because it's not going to, like, you're going to be okay with this regardless of what you're doing. Another thing that you could do is you could run Sam Blitz 3. And basically what you would want to do with this is you would want to flip the Sam Blitz 3 so that the linebacker that is in the zone is always on the short side of the field. So for example here, the wide side of the field here is to the right side. And so because the wide side of the field is to the right side here, if I was to audible to a like a spread out formation or something like this linebacker generally, if I show blitz my linebackers, he will be in a good proper position. Now I'm going to show you how I normally run it out of cover 4, just because it gives us the best, I think, kind of blend of everything. But in general, I'm just going to run this with as a cover 4 flip, and we're going to get into, kind of how I like to run this defense. There's a lot of different ways to run 6-1, but one of the best tips I can give you is to show blitz your linebackers. It's going to get them in a really decent position to be able to do a lot of things. 6-1 is by far and away much better against bunch, wide trio close, kind of these more compressed sets than it is against trips. However, it still can be ran against trips at a very high level. Okay. So the way that I like to set this up, the core strategy that I like to use with 6-1 is I like to simply pinch my defensive line. And then from there, I'm normally going to blitz the linebacker opposite of the tight end. So I don't want to really blitz on the tight end side unless I'm trying to send 6. I want to blitz off of the running back side simply because in this game, the tight end chips a lot of outside linebacker type of blitzes. Whereas if we blitz the running back side, we're going to be in a lot better position. And I'm also going to show you kind of the standard pass protection. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward as the center is going to be responsible for trying to block my user. So essentially all we're going to do is we're going to send 5 like this, and the center is going to block my user here. And you see I'm going to be able to get pressure off of that left-hand side. Now I'll show that a little bit more in depth here. So I'm going to, and this also applies to empty protection as well. So I'm showing base and empty here, but basically as you see, empty, same kind of basic thing. Sometimes empty can be a little crazy, but as you see, we're getting that linebacker to be able to get pressure. Now I'm going to show you another way to get pressure from this with more of a spread out look. If you ever wanted to kind of leave the defense looking like this, what you could do is you could blitz this linebacker. You could go to your stunt menu and pick the left Texas 2-man stunt. You could then QB contain. And what you're going to see here is as you see that linebacker is hot off the edge. And when you do that stunt, he's going to do a good job of getting that pressure off of that left-hand side. So you can use that stunt pressure as well. I normally just like to send the base pressure just because I feel like it's a little bit more consistent. And in general, just pinching the D-line to me, I think it just makes the defense a little bit better. You can also slant the defensive line inside. And then if you need to, you can spread these linebackers out. So as you see here, this center is pretty much going to just be dedicated to my user no matter what. And you see that that's going to give us really clean pressure off of that left-hand side. One of the other things that you can do with the 4-3 even 6-1 defense is you can go ahead and you can actually send the pressure. Let me show that here. So what I can do is I can send the pressure and I can drop this guy on the right into whatever coverage assignment I want. So like if I want to put a little bit more coverage on the field and just send 4, this send 4 is still pretty consistent at being able to get some decent pressure off of that left-hand side as well. So you have those different options within, how you want to do this. Now, the big thing that's going to happen is they're going to eventually untarget your user defender. And so if they do that, what that's going to basically mean is they're going to untarget your user defender. And as you see here, we're going to set that same exact defense up where we're sending this pressure off of this left side. And what you're going to see is pressure still able to come in. But what will also happen is eventually they're going to pair that with a slide protect. So if they pair that with a slide protect, what's nice about 6-1, you can't really slide protect 6-1 because there's 2 blitz threats on both sides. So what you're able to do here is this is where situationally, right, we would send this right side. If we ever started to notice that this left side pressure is just not working for whatever reason, then we would do something like this off of the right side even and make it look exactly like that. But because they're slide protecting, as you see, that linebacker's left completely hot, and you're going to be able to get that pressure at the quarterback. So that's one of the best ways to kind of use this to make 6-1 effectively an unslidable formation. It's not very easy to protect when you're slide protecting. You're pretty much, this is the whole purpose of the defense, by the way, to get them to block somebody. And then once they start to block somebody, we can do some cool things in this formation. One of them is the left Tom 2-man stunt here. What I like to do is send this left Tom 2-man stunt like this. And then what I can essentially do is basically just kind of run to the middle. And, again, just depending on how they kind of want to pick this up, a lot of times that Tom stunt will loop through and it's going to get good pressure. It's really helpful to have these Tom stunts whenever they start to block people. So if they're, for example, if they're sliding one way, they're blocking another way, doing things like that, that's where these Tom stunts become super handy because, the protection could get messed up and the Tom stunt could go crazy within the defense. Another cool feature about 6-1 is you can basically pass commit it every single time because it's such a good run defense, you don't really need to stop the run. Now, as you see that linebacker go outside there, but if I show blitz my linebackers, generally the linebacker is going to come back inside here, and you're now going to be able to get pressure. We'll see if we can show you a good defense here. And that was a blocked running back. The blocked running back will block the send 5. But in general, like in the way this game plays, honestly, I'm kind of willing to live with that. Now, the big thing that I wanted to just quickly hit here is this audible into trips tight end. So if they do audible into trips, which is very popular in this year's game, if they do audible over here, you're going to see that if you show blitz your linebackers, they don't really move in this cover 4 defense. And so what I like to do here is essentially blitz off of this trip side. So effectively, it would look something right like this, where we're going to send this pressure off the left-hand side. And then normally what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ton of coverage over here like so. And then my lurk is going to be over here to the right-hand side. So you see it looks something like this. If you look at the user responsibility, as long as I run down at the center, I get good pressure and I'm able to kind of stay in a pretty decent style of defense. So the 4-3 even 6-1 defense, one of the better defenses in the game, and it gives you the capability to be able to adjust a lot of things, especially if you just do that show blitzing of the linebackers. It kind of changes everything about how this defense plays, and it makes it significantly more effective, in my opinion, and it's going to be much harder to consistently pick up.